Well. Good evening, everybody. It is January the 12th, 2026. That can mean only one thing. One, it's officially the couple days after the event where Abby Murphy becomes the coolest hockey playing for the University of Minnesota. Holy smokes. What a play that was. Women's hockey's looking pretty good, if you ask me. But welcome to the show. Obviously tonight, there was a big event after work hours today. NHL Central Scouting dropped their list. I've done my best not to spoil it for myself. I will be reacting to it live on the internet, live on camera. Everybody loves NHL Central Scouting lists. Usually it's a pretty good barometer of generally where the NHL is kind of sitting and thinking, and it's a pretty good litmus test of where we're at. And we get this one, and then we get one in June or whatever at the very end of the year, and then that's it. So it's officially, I would say, the midpoint of the draft calendar, and it's an exciting time. It's when you start to really see things maybe coming into focus. For anybody who is a Vancouver Canucks fan, welcome to hell. You're here, and obviously I can hopefully give you a bit of therapy. That also goes for Jets fans. Flames fans, you've kind of been here already, which is okay. We're all friends, and you and I have gotten along for a number of years in a row now, and this is just you're going through the motions, and I get it. But you know what? Everyone else, welcome to the party. If you're a Rangers fan, maybe even a Devils fan, if you're really bearish on them. Elliot Friedman sure was on the 32 Thoughts podcast today. I listened to that while shopping at Costco. Someone asked me in the Costco today because I picked up one of the lasagnas that are on sale. I picked one up, and I didn't even really notice until way too late that someone asked me if they were any good. And I was wearing my noise-canceling earbuds, and I just said, I don't know, and walked away. So that's what I was doing today. So if you are listening to the show, that person, whoever you might be, sorry, but I legitimately don't know. But I just figured, hey, it's on sale. I like lasagna. Let's give it a go. Let's see how it goes. But the big story of the day is Central Scouting's list for the day. We'll get into that in a little bit when people start to file in. And what do we got here? So what we can do, is just a brief outline of some of the stuff we've done since the end of the World Juniors. So that would be, last Monday it ended. So some of the names we've looked at on the way back into the full swing of things. This is my first full week back on the regular grind. If you want a written summary of some of the draft eligibles that were at the tournament that stuck out to me, that's available for subscribers only on scouching.ca, so you can check that out if you want to subscribe. But in the time since, here are some of the guys we've taken a look at if you want to be specific with some players that you're interested in. Vilho von Hatalo, Niels Bartholdson, Breck Liskey, Georgios Pantelis, Ole Kulibiakin, Jonas Lagerberg-Hohen, Viktor Fyodorov, Malte Gustafsson, Samuel Lowry, Yaroslav Fedosiev, Alisher Sarkinov, JP Hurlbert, Gilad Pugachev, Elton Hermansson, Oscar Hallmertz, Brady Wasselin, Evan Jardine, Jacob Vanacek, Lincoln Keane, Chase Reed, Carson Carrolls, and the last one I did today was Ola Palme out of Växjö in Sweden. So that's where I've been recently. And you know what? So far, my thoughts on this draft class remain the same. It's exciting. There's a lot of depth to it. There's a lot of fun players available. There's plenty to chew on. It's a really, really, really intriguing draft class where I think there's a lot of potential, some type of NHL role player with some sort of ability that separates them from most people out there, which is a real big positive. That's pretty unusual. And I'm still looking out at guys who, I'm still uncovering guys that I kind of want to take a deeper look at, that I just haven't had the time to get to. So it's a little more stressful at this point in the year than I'm used to, but we are getting to the point very rapidly where when I watch these guys, when I track more games of them, I kind of know what I'm going to get out of them by and large. nobody's really blowing your mind more than you think or expect going in a lot of the time. Although a couple of guys that I took a first time look at over the last few days, definitely are guys that have done that really were intriguing to me. Like Evan Jardine was really interesting in the game I did. Who else? I mean, I don't think anyone else was really honestly the first person I looked at. Vanacek today, but I liked Jardine a lot. So yeah, there's a few guys that Van Hatalo's another one that I actually kind of liked. It was a game in Liga, so good to see him there, and he didn't look out of place there. And again, like another one of these physical, intense wingers who, would an NHL coach put him in a bottom six, and would he do that job pretty well and just eat some minutes? Sure, of course he would. I think he absolutely could. So another really intriguing player and another one just to add to the pile. But all right. We're gonna do this. I have the list right in front of me, and I'm doing that thing where I'm focusing my attention as much as I can on the monitor for the stream, and not on the PDF that is in front of me. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through this. We're gonna do North America first, then Europe. And then we'll do the goalies, I guess, see who's on that list. I don't even really know what anybody really thinks about the goaltenders. Central Scouting is always a lot of fun. It's always a lot of fun reading these. So what we're going to do in 109876543221, we are going to toggle over and we will show and share it together. One moment. This one, right? Yeah, here it is. All right. So I'm going to move my eyes from my top monitor down to my lower monitor now and take a look at this. And, okay. Already we're off to a banging start here. Oh, man, there's a lot to chew on already, and I've only looked at it for 10 seconds. Oh, man. This rocks. I am such a geek for this stuff, obviously, since this is like a job I'm trying to do and I'm operating a business, but like this is awesome. There are no words. These are always just so great. They're just so great as an independent person to flip through. Oh my God. Where do I even begin? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, look at all. Oh my goodness, oh my God. Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh boy. Oh wow. Oh my goodness. Oh man. I know I'm just saying the same things over and over and over again. Oh my. Okay. This is awesome. This is great. Yes, it's true. Central Scouting is great because they're accurate player measurements. That's a very, very good thing to keep in mind. Oh man. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. I mean, it's not sarcastic. I mean, I'm not. This is my genuine. It's just like every year. I find it like almost like shocking that I see things so unbelievably different to Central Scouting. And like again, like I'm not surprised that I don't work in the NHL. It does not surprise me whatsoever. But it's still just seeing how they're coming down on a lot of these things. Like I simply do not understand a whole lot of it, a whole lot of this. But we'll get into the specifics now. Okay. So first of all, I think obviously Gavin McKenna being number one does not surprise me in the slightest. I mean, I think there's a very, very strong argument that he should be the number one guy taken this year. I fully understand that. Unbelievably skilled, ridiculously talented young player, super creative. One of the most impressive playmakers we've seen in a while, I would say. I'm a little lower on him than this, but not too much lower, to be clear. I think he's got a lot of upside. He's got a lot of potential. It would really take for me, like, the interview with him, the interview process with him would be super, super important for me. There's a lot of stuff that I would absolutely want to dig in on with McKenna, but I like him. He's a great player, and being at number 1, it does not surprise me in the slightest. Keaton Verhoff at 2 also doesn't really surprise me. I think in terms of development and his future, I think you're looking at a player who certainly has a lot of upside potential, a lot of growth potential. Yeah, he's already 6'3.5", and he's 208 pounds according to this, but he's also a June birthday. He's still quite young, so maybe he's just physically matured really, really early. But who knows? I think that a guy like Verhoff, if you can sort of refine his development, the asterisks are measured by Central Scouting. That's correct. I think with Verhoff, it's about upside, and it's about the future of his game. So that's a plus. I think that's a really, really good thing to bet on. But I still feel like, he probably wouldn't. If I had my own Central Scouting list like this, he'd be number 3. But I still really like him. I think he's a really intriguing player. Carroll's at 3. I just did him today, and I do not see it. I just don't know. Like, maybe it's just not my brand. Maybe it's just not my vibe. I don't know what it is. But whenever I watch Carson Carroll's, I do not see. This is like top 5 maybe rated, top 7, and I just don't see it. I don't know how to explain it other than, like, I've seen a lot of guys like him over the years where in Canada they play junior hockey and they play a ton of minutes, and their defensive game is just a bit of a question mark, but their skating and confidence and offensive zone sort of daring confidence is what gives them a lot of upside. And I just don't know. I keep watching him, and I watched a bunch of them at the World Juniors, and I don't know. I don't see, relative to some of these other guys, I do not see a player who is right up at the top here. I mean, Chase Reed at 4, I think that makes a good amount of sense. He's in my top 10. I watched a game of him today, actually. He was quite good. Very well-rounded guy. I think the profile's pretty straightforward with him, and it's pretty easy to see how he could play a good role in the NHL. Malhotra at 5. Again, I've seen a bunch of them this year, and I have not seen it. I have not seen one of the best in the draft level player there. It's very center light this year's draft class, and I'll also note, like, this is a common thing for Central Scouting. There's one player in their top 12 who is listed at under 6 feet tall reliably. You got JP Hurlburt in there, who I cannot believe is listed at 5'11 3/4, almost 6 feet tall. I just can't believe that based on watching him play. I don't know where that comes from, but I guess if it's approved here. But that is an extremely common thing with Central Scouting, is that the big guys are the ones that get the first looks, and that's just how these things go, and that's just the way things break down. But with Malhotra, I don't know. I've got a game of him lined up to do pretty soon. I've done a bunch of games of him, and I just don't really think that the upside is worth taking as high as this might imply. In terms of, like, I know he's got some skill, and he's good under pressure, I suppose, and all of that stuff. But I really wonder about the sort of stop and start of the game, and shutting play down defensively reliably. Like, he's strong on his feet, but generating speed and keeping up with the pace of play and being a constant defensive threat for a center like him, I think I just haven't seen it. But I still have to go back and watch more of them. This happens every year, right? There are guys that everybody loves, and they end up being the guys that I see the most if I don't see it the same way, because I want to be absolutely certain of where I'm at with them. And speaking of which, we got Daxon Rudolph at 6. I mean, again, I just don't. With Daxon Rudolph, I still am waiting for an explanation as to what it is about his game that makes him this valuable, because when I hear people talk about him, I instantly go, you're not describing a super high-end hockey player. Like there's a lot of like, well, he makes it look easy and he doesn't need to skate around as much, and he's more of a positional guy, and he makes his passes quickly, and like he has a good shot from the point that he uses a lot, and I just go, all of those things are a little bit troubling if I'm thinking about the NHL. And I talked to someone in the WHL not too long ago when we were talking about Rudolph, and I was like, I just don't get it. And he goes, I don't blame you. And I remember when he was a WHL draft eligible and people were talking about him as a first overall pick, this person was like, I remember at the time I said, Rudolph will be a very good defenseman, ... in the WHL. And honestly, like the numbers on his games when I've done them are relatively good. I'll be doing another one of his games tomorrow. Actually, he's on the schedule, and we'll see. But I really don't. I don't know. I don't know what I'm missing. But with Dax and Rudolph, it might just be that it's not my brand of hockey. Because when I watch him, I just see a guy who maybe he's just punching below his weight class and doesn't need to turn on the jets very much, but. That's kind of my read on him from last year in my notebook. And then, I mean, Tynan Lawrence at 7, I have to think that this is limited sample size. Like, Lawrence at the Holinka tournament was astoundingly good. And I know that was September, and I know I'm being a little bit like, oh yeah, I have to go back all the way to September. But even with Muskegon, I feel like he looked real solid. He's only just started his career with Boston University. I've got a couple of games of his with Muskegon that I want to get tracked in the next week or two, so I can catch up and get to work watching him with BU this year. I think Lawrence is a guy, like if I had my Central Scouting list, Lawrence would be number 1. I love him. I think that as a center that is the modern, a good modern NHL center, I think he's a fantastic example of that. Ilya Morozov at 8, honestly, I'm not really surprised. I'm not totally surprised. I really like Morozov, and I honestly, there's parts of me that look at him and go, I actually do enjoy watching him more than I enjoy watching Belchets, but I'm not there yet. I mean, but Morozov above like Hurlburt and Novotny and Lynn, like I've got that guy ahead of all those guys. Rogowski, Klepov, yeah, I've got Morozov ahead of all those guys. The only one I think that he's behind is Belchets on my list, and you don't have to twist my arm too much to go with a Morozov over a Belchets. With all due respect to Belchets, I just again like I think Morozov plays a very projectable, modern NHL style of play up the middle. I think a lot of the things people say about a Caleb Malhotra, I think you see a lot of it in Ilya Morozov. Just big and strong and physical and a smart playmaker as well, like a really smart passer up the ice and just sees the ice really, really well. And I mean, rounding up the top 10, I mean, we just kind of talked about Belchets a little bit. I mean, I don't mind him. I think that he's a pretty easy profile for me to build of just like, he's got a job, and if you keep him in that job and he does it, he can be a valuable sort of complementary winger. But again, like the role that I see working right now is it valuable where they're kind of putting him? But this is kind of maybe like a 10 through 15 slot type thing for him, which I see. I understand it, but I understand it, and I think that's what's going to happen, and that's around where I have him on my list. And Hurlburt at 10, I feel like Hurlburt is. I haven't seen it with him. We watched him together a couple of days ago, and the skill is there for sure, but I think he just screams high producer everywhere but the NHL right now. I mean, I think the skill level is really, really strong, but I wonder about his sort of separation speed. Again, maybe he just plays small or something like that. He's a very compact skater, maybe, but 5'11" and 3/4 is wild to me. That just does not seem right, because he certainly plays like a tiny skilled winger. And you know what? I think if you give him the right opportunity, like it's one of these things where in an NHL system, is he going to be a top 6 center? And I'm not sure there's confidence in that right now. And he isn't going to, I don't think he has a third, fourth line NHL, I don't think he has a third or fourth line NHL floor. I don't think that's there. And it's spooky enough for me that other guys just are ahead of him. Oscar Hemming, I did watch one of his games with Boston College, and I mean, look, I think putting him this high when he's only played a handful of games this year normally is a bit of a questionable one, but I thought he was really good in that game that I saw with BC. Much more interesting in terms of his skating and overall pace of play relative to what I remember when he was at the Hlinka. But Hemming is a good one. I like him. I'm curious to see him. I'm going to give him a little bit more time before I start tracking him, but a good one. Novotny and Lynn doesn't surprise me in that range, like mid to late first round draft picks. I can totally see that. But like scrolling down, obviously the ones that people are probably screaming at me about are Villeneuve, Preston, and maybe even Mutrin. Mutrin that low doesn't really surprise me, but the thing about this is like it's about the guys that are ahead of the people that I like. Like I've seen Charlie Morrison a bunch this year. I've been the Landon Nitz guy for a long time. I've mentioned him on this show many times over the years. I certainly would want Casey Mutrin. I think Mutrin, especially for the size that he's got, the style of play, I think he's the perfect NHL, modern NHL, modern NHL power winger who I think has a ton of upside. He's a guy that just plays like a guy you want on your team, and I have him higher than this, especially relative to like Morrison, Nitz, Rubrek, Ruck. I like Thomas Vandenberg. I really do. I want to see more of him. I do think there's a lot of things in his I think there's a lot of things in his game that are really impressive and hard to, like, there are things in his game that are not super common to see at a high level for players like him, and he's very young for this draft class, but just a very smart defense first center who has a really good feel for the game, and just I want to see a little bit more offensively threatening play out of him in the offensive zone. But Vandenberg I do like, but look, the thing about Mathis Preston, we'll get to Mathis Preston. He's 24th. Look, this is just the way it's going to go, right? Like I think Mathis Preston, I have my thesis on him, and clearly pretty much everybody else disagrees with me, and that's fine. I look at Mathis Preston as a guy who was asked to be literally the guy for everything in Spokane this year, and that's not a good place to put any player, especially when you consider who he was playing with and the sort of expectations that were put on him. It's nuts. And Spokane has not been particularly incredible this year, unfortunately. And with Preston, I mean, I saw a game of him with Vancouver before the injury last night or 2 nights ago, and it's like, this is the player that I've always kind of thought about as a really high-end guy. And I hope he's not out long-term. I really do, because I thought that playing with guys like Ryan Lynn would have been a huge boost to him. A Joe Aginla even coming to town in Vancouver would have been a huge boost. But unfortunately, he's injured. And I mean, look, it's not uncommon for Central Scouting to take someone who is a 5'11". I mean, yeah, he's basically 5'11", right? Like, let's also be very clear here. He's not small. And he's 175 and he's 180 pounds, all right, almost 177 pounds. So, you're looking at a player who's a comparable size to Ryan Lynn, who is a defenseman, or anyway, take your pick, right? You can see. But I think you look at a Mathis Preston, and I just see electrifying skill and skating ability, and I think there's a much better playmaker than people advertise. And I was so confident that going to Vancouver would be a huge potential opportunity for him. And I mean, we did a game tape with him. You can check it out. It was done and it was recorded before he got traded. But like he just comes off as like that to me, look, I think that he came off as a very confident, very focused on himself type person, which I like. I think that a player like him, that's how he needs to be. And I think that I think that maybe NHL people see that and go, well, they'll make up some reason to put him as low as this, right? Like, this implies he might be a second round pick. And to me, if you get Mathis Preston in the second round, I think, I think that could be the steal of the decade. Like, I just, unless his knee is completely busted or something from that injury, I think he could be exceptional. Yeah, he's pretty much the same size as McKenna. He's heavier than Gavin McKenna. And so to see him this low when he's 7-8 months younger, and has so much going for him in the way of a talent floor, that, look, I think if he goes to a Stanley Cup contending team, then you know why they're a Stanley Cup contender, right? Like it's pretty incredible. But I don't think unless he's injured for the rest of the year and this is it for him, I don't see this sticking. I just don't. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think in terms of individual talent, he's one of the best in the entire draft when everything comes together, for sure. But otherwise, I mean, look, I think in this first sort of top 30, like seeing Dagenais in there doesn't honestly surprise me. I think it's pretty easy to see how he could be an NHLer. Klepov and Shilov, I think, are really sketchy to me in terms of projecting to the NHL. I like Klepov as sort of a complementary, sort of skilled finisher type guy. Shilov, I have to do another game of him soon. I have one lined up, but I haven't seen a first round guy there for me in terms of, unless you're like really focused on skill level purely, then absolutely, like he's extremely, extremely skilled and there's a lot to value there. Look, and the other one here, and then we'll move on a little bit lower. Xavier Villeneuve. Okay, right? Like if you want to make the same mistake as so many other teams make, then sure. Villeneuve, you might, then sure. You know what? Go for a Brooks Rogowski. Go for a JP Hurlburt. Go for a Daxon Rudolph, right? But I look at Xavier Villeneuve and I go, all of the things, look at all of the players in the NHL draft over the years who go really, really high in the draft and all of the defensemen, and think of all of the ones who have become a defenseman where you go, God, I wish we had more guys like that on the team, right? More often than not, it's like, recently, guys like Quinn Hughes, guys like Cale Makar, guys like Lane Hudson. It's these hyper offensive guys who are immensely skilled and immensely quick on their feet and immensely creative. And Villeneuve is all of those things. Again, like if you're concerned about him, go back and watch the CHL NTDP series. Go back and watch the under-18s last year. He arguably was one of the best players on the ice at that U18 tournament for me for the Canadian roster. This year at that CHL NTDP thing, I thought him and Preston ran the table in those two games, especially the first one. And Villeneuve, I think, has just gotten better since the beginning of the year in terms of looking more like an actual hockey player and in terms of like playing better defensive hockey. And I think he's one of these guys where even if he is, say, half to a standard deviation below the average NHL defensive player, then his offensive ability will far outweigh that by and large. I don't think Villeneuve is as talented as Makar and Hughes, but I certainly think that he's not that far behind. Like, I think that in terms of the explosiveness and the dealing with pressure in the offensive zone and the skill level, he does Cale Makar-esque stuff and he makes it look easy. Like his offensive generation data, like I'll show you, right? Let me just pull it up here. But obviously it's not a full data set. I'm not going to claim that this is, gospel. But I mean, amongst defensemen, and again, yes, he's playing in Quebec, so whatever you want to say about that, then go nuts. But he has not always been playing in Quebec, right? There are other scenarios through which you can watch the guy. But like, let me pull it up here. Xavier. So, yeah. So, where's my stupid? There's the monitor. Okay. So is this it? No, I have to go in here and do this and do this. Okay. So here is Xavier Villeneuve's data profile. Oh, I got to move my head. I got to move my big dumb head here. Oops. Let's not remove my head. Oh my goodness. Okay. There we go. We'll move my head over here for now. So like looking at Villeneuve, we'll blow this up a little bit here. This is very awkward. Okay, yeah, so blowing this up, I mean, like, again, like, looking at his offensive profile, like, this is his possession numbers, like, an offensive threat of 67 for a defenseman is insane. Like, that basically is, like, it scales differently for defensemen because obviously their level of offensive involvement by default is lower. But this is like he is a very, very good forward in terms of as a defenseman. His passing numbers are strong. Like 70% completion might not sound like a ton, but across 115 attempts per 60, like that's really, really strong. He's a net positive possession player. He's creating half of his team's shot attempts, and a lot of it is his own shooting. And I would love to see him try to create a little bit more of inside driven playmaking, but he's not wasting his shots. He's getting more shots from medium danger than a lot of really high end forwards. Like, let's take a look. Let's take a look here. Where do I have the master list here? So like, he had 9 medium danger shot attempts per 60 minutes. So we'll go to this. We'll go greater than 9. And we'll go right. So these are the guys who are greater than 9 in my data set so far. Ignore these bottom 2. It's outside of the anyway, but you're looking at Lawrence and Command, obviously very, very small samples, but like nobody else is doing that. So to me as a defenseman to do all of those things, to do that is pretty remarkable. Again, obviously still early in the year, there's going to be more guys who get more data and obviously things might get a little bit different, but he's still just an unbelievably talented defenseman. And like he's faced a pretty low amount of defensive zone cycles, and when he does, he gets involved half the time and breaks them up. He's been good in the offensive zone, blocking play and defending in the offensive zone, as I like to put it. Like you just look up and down, like defensive transition numbers are really strong. You just look up and down the list here and you go, I don't know what else you want out of a defenseman. And yes, he's playing in Quebec and people will, look at that and go, well, yeah, of course. Like he's, but it is different. I think it's different. I think it is different. And I think he is a truly, 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 really impressive defenseman. And with the right team, if he's I don't even know how to put it. Like if he's a mid first round draft pick, like in terms of just pure talent, I don't know outside of Preston, like who I would want instead. I really, really don't. I think the upside with him is as high as anybody in this draft class, especially considering like I watch him defend compared to where like a guy like where Hudson was when he was a draft eligible. I think he is way beyond where Hudson was at this age. And that was the main concern for me with Hudson, was the defensive transition game and his strength were real question marks. And for me, I think the defensive transition game for Villeneuve is really, really good. It's way better than you might think. He scoots across the ice really effectively. He chases down play really well. And the faster he gets, the more active he gets on his feet, the better off he'll be. So to me, if he's a mid first round pick, late first round pick, then I know what I'm doing. If I draft, if I'm drafting in this range, I go, yeah, I'll trade down. Sure, I'll trade down. Right, I'll do that. No problem. His defensive metrics are good. Like there's nothing really bad about his defensive metrics. If anything, he defends a lot less than you would expect because he's in the offensive zone so much, and he defends the offensive zone really, really well. Which to me is how you win hockey games in as we've seen at the World Juniors. Like a lot of how you win these hockey games, is defending the offensive blue line. Obviously, the World Juniors is not the NHL, but the point I'm trying to make is like he's an advanced offensive player who is, I'd say, passable defensively. At the very least, watching a guy like, from my experience, like a Daxon Rudolph defending, I have way more concerns about a Daxon Rudolph's defending than I do, a Mathis Preston or of Xavier Villeneuve. I don't know. I just it's something I've seen so much out of him over the last 2 seasons where I just go, yep, if that's the case, I'm cool with adding him later. Outside of that, I mean, obviously around here is where I kind of just go, I don't know, like there are guys I like more. I think Lars Steiner is that low because he's small and plays like he's a 6'4" insane person, and I personally like that about him. And if that makes him a 3rd round pick, I would be more than happy to do that. What else is going on in here? There's a few guys I haven't seen enough of to really know what to say or think. I like Jackson Cover. I saw a game of him today playing with Brady Wasselin. I personally like him more than Wasselin, and I think he is higher than Wasselin here. Yeah, he is. So I would put that. So I'd put that in there as well. Barabanov is interesting. He's intriguing. Bilecki is intriguing, but I haven't seen enough to know really. Tommy Blale is interesting that high. I personally think that relative to a guy like Villeneuve, that like Blale is a lot more, I think, of what people are worried about with Villeneuve. Like the concerns everybody has with a guy like Villeneuve, I think are better applied to a guy like Blale. And for me, I think that he has a much more difficult sort of pathway to the NHL, but there are things about his game that are high end and intriguing. Jack Hextall, yeah, I love him. I think Jack Hextall is also undervalued on here. I have Hextall well into my first round. I think that he is a brilliant player. I think he's a player who, you know, again, I'm not saying he's the same player, but in terms of style of play at this age, like he does remind me a little bit of like a Celebrini, where everything about his game is just like he gets it defensively, offensively, working off line mates. He just seems like such a smart player. He knows how to work off of the opposition. And I think I said this about Celebrini at the time. It's like the faster and more skilled he gets, the better off he's going to be. That's literally all you need to think about is just how fast can we get this kid? How skilled can we get this kid? How quickly can we get him up the ice? Because Jack Hextall is, I think he's not slow. He's not a bad shooter. He's obviously not Celebrini, but I think that in terms of like the brain that you've got of like how he plays the game is second to none. I think he's excellent. And I've really enjoyed watching him the last 2 years. He's just a guy who has a very high end, like academic style of play that I think only projects positively from here. Pierce Mbouyi, I mean, he's 5'10", again, like if he were 6 feet tall, I bet he'd be in the first round because he is just a beast. I love that kid. He is really, really impressive. High end energy, high end intensity level. Just a really, really solid all around player who has an unbelievable shot as well to finish everything off. And I think that, again, if he's the guy you take as your third guy in the draft class, then I think you're laughing. Scrolling down a little bit here. I mean, I don't want to go too crazy here, too deep, at least not until later on. I personally really like Logan Stewart. Again, if that's a guy you get in the mid rounds, obviously like he's a center who's 5'10.5. So obviously that's pretty Scouch pilled, but I think that's automatically like NHL's going to look at him and go, well, he's not going to work out even if he is, you know, XYZ. I don't think it's going to work. So why would we take him? You know, but I think that there is a good amount of a good amount of potential with him. Just in terms of his ability to, I think he's a lot more physical than you might think for a guy like him. I think he overcomes his size deficiencies pretty well. He's fast, really skilled, and he's been on, I think, the most fun line of the NTDP team this year, right? Like I think between him and Plant and Jamie Glantz, generally, those guys have all been really, really good. I like Landon Ammerheim as well, but like I'm not gonna like go nuts about having him this low. I might bump him up a little bit, kind of, but not going to be too picky at this point. There's Sawyer Dingman on there. That's fun. Sawyer Dingman ahead of Adam Valentini is hilarious. That's awesome. I have not really seen it with Sawyer Dingman, but I do really like Adam Valentini. But again, I've been wanting more out of his game a lot for sure. Andrew O'Neill being here is intriguing. I liked Andrew O'Neill on the NTDP last year. As a re-entry guy, he's on my list. I think he is still on my list, but he was forever this season because I think he's looked really, really good with the Oil Kings. Joe Iginla, I get the feeling that by the end of the year, he'll be higher. I think Iginla, all he has is upside. Like the way that he plays, it's like, again, that it's similar to Hextall, where it's like you watch Iginla play hockey and you're just like, he gets it. Like he just knows how to play. You know, he knows how to work the puck. He knows how to move it to other guys on his line. He knows how to grind and play physical, and he's very young for this draft class. Tej grew up to be pretty big. His dad is big. Like I think there's a lot of growth potential there.
He's young for the draft class, so I'm looking for an interesting little back half of Joe Ginla here. Yeah, Ben McBeath is one that was interesting. I've seen him here and there, and I have him on the list to get to track, but I haven't done it yet. But this is a pretty good indicator that I probably should. Because I don't know. I mean, Diorio, I also have to get to a game of tracking, but when I've seen him, I've seen him with Sarnia watching other guys and as an opponent, and I just haven't. I don't know about first round pick, let alone ahead of guys like Preston or Cullen or Mutrin or whatever. But I don't know. Ben McBeath though is an interesting one, and so that's one that I will prioritize for sure moving forward because I have not seen enough of him to know how to feel about this. But yeah, he's a good pull for sure. What else is going on in here? I don't know. There's always some fun ones at the very end of the list here, right? Like it's always like Lane Hudson was LJ Mooney was like 200th on this list at this point last year. So who are the teeny tiny guys? Cooper Dennis. There you go. So Cooper Dennis is on the list right at the end. So that's kind of fun. What else have you got in here? Really, really tiny guys. I mean, Cooper Dennis being 5'5" and a quarter. That's hilarious because I haven't even seen him listed that short before. But I don't know. Other than that, there's not too much down here that I think is entertaining. Jack Kultgen, I kind of liked when I saw him play this season. Same with Jet Quadja, but again, I'm not sure about drafting. Oh, there's Alexander Karmanov, 7'1". There it is, fellas. 7'1". Unbelievable. What else is going on here? Oh, Dryden Allen made the list. Good for him. That's an interesting one. Matthias Mann, our boy from the World Juniors, he's on this list as well. Definitely had to throw him on after that. Our Kazakiro, Alisher Sarkinov. So yeah, like a lot of these guys I've seen and I think are decent. But again, like not a whole lot in this range is like really blowing me away. That I think like definitely is a guy that you want to steal higher in the draft. But I mean, like a lot of these guys I've seen and I go, yeah, they're interesting. These are some interesting players and they bring something good to the game. And, I can't really complain. Let's go to Europe. Plays the game the right way. Exactly. All right. Let me zoom in here. So what do we got here? Again, I'm seeing this for the first time blind. All right. Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, I'll say this. By and large, much less shocking than the North American list was. I'm just poking around here, looking at Thomas Galvis. Look at that, as a D+2 or +3. You don't see that very often. An 06. Maybe this will be the year. Another one, Ustinkov. Oh, Team Scouching making appearances on this list as guys teams might actually draft. Verti Svensk, there he is, 84th in Europe. Our boy, the chosen one. Personally, Kasper Justavara Carlson. Yeah, those guys I adore. I just don't care what anybody says. Those guys I love. I like Morgan Anderberg for Vekwa there. He probably should be higher, but again, you see that, well, he's 5'11 and a quarter. He was listed at 5'10 last I checked, so you know what? Maybe there's something to this, right? But he's played in the SHL a lot of this year, and I think he's looked pretty good there. Mark Fogelnest made the list. Interesting. Okay, but let's get focused here. Let's focus. Douglas Paul. He says, let's focus. Okay, so let's go back to the top. I mean, honestly, like, I'll say this, like, none of this is super, super controversial to me or surprising. I mean, Adam Nemitz at 29, I like him more than that. I think he's a really smart player who I think brings a lot of really positive traits to the game in terms of, like, Doesn't really matter if the game is fast or slow. He kind of just knows what he's doing and is really solid. Måns Gudmundsson is an interesting one. That's a guy who I'm very intrigued by, but I'm not. I haven't seen enough to be totally sold on him, but he's on my watch list right now because he's one of these guys where it's like, it's really not the most exciting hockey to watch when he's playing, but he's also kind of decent. Like, he kind of just knows how to keep it simple, and he just seems like one of these guys where, especially because he's a June birthday, like, you know, he might just grow and grow, and if he ends up like a 6'4", you know, defenseman who just keeps it simple, he might be just a guy that you go, who's this 5th round pick on an NHL team that all of a sudden popped up and is kind of okay? Like, he just seems like that kind of player. Novak, I need to look at more. Philip Novak. Victor Fyodorov, I've actually really liked the last times I've seen him. And I probably would bump him ahead of some of these guys. But like, Katolichki is really intriguing to see at 17. I've seen Katolichki many times over the years. And again, really young, really big, more skill than you would think for a big guy. Pretty underdeveloped, though. And I wonder about the feet. Like, his footwork is not always amazing. But a guy who I do really like watching play, and it's high time I go back and watch more of him because seeing him at 17 is a bit of a surprise, but he is 6'4", so who knows? That would make sense, right? Like, that would check out. I mean, Bjork at 5, he's 5'9", folks. Like, that's just the way she goes. He's 5'9". He's the only guy in the top 15 that is under 6 feet tall that isn't Ivar Stenberg, right? So, like, you can tell the pattern here, right? Like, look at all these 6s, right? Going down to 22, the only other one under 6 feet is Thomas Renko. I do like Ala Lowry. I do really like Holmertz, so it's nice to see him listed at 6 feet. Again, I don't want to get too, like, height pilled and be like, well, this guy's 5'11", this guy's 6 foot, so that makes a huge difference. Again, don't forget, unless you're new to the show, this is an inch, right? The height of a hockey puck is an inch. So if you're thinking this makes you an NHL prospect and this doesn't, I don't know what to tell you. So it doesn't really make that much of a difference to me. Command at 12, I mean, I'm not totally surprised. He's got some high-end tools. Honestly, Ignatavicius and Sherbakov are surprising. I don't really see the appeal of an Ignatavicius that high. And Sherbakov, I'd be very curious to see what NHL scouts think of Sherbakov because he's big and lanky and, in my experience, doesn't add a whole lot when he's on the ice. Like, he's rangy, and but I just watch him and I go, I don't know what the job is for you. Like, I don't know where I would put you in a lineup. I don't really get it. And I haven't seen him in a while, so maybe I'm missing something, but I'll check that out again. The one that and it's been mentioned in the chat by our truther in the Discord server here. The one that I really like is Gleb Pugachev at 15. I think, I mean, Gleb Pugachev might be in my first round by the end of the year. That guy, he's gotten way better since the beginning of the year, I think, and he is really interesting. We did a game of him the other day. And he threw one of the biggest hits I've seen all year. And he just absolutely catastrophized Andrei Zavatsky. And it was wild watching him in that game. He was really, really good. And again, I think he's kind of like that Casey Mutrin type where it's like he plays that NHL style of play in the Russian Junior League. And he is definitely more physically mature and developed and faster and more powerful and whatever than a lot of the guys he plays up against, but he's not skilled. He's got a good shot on him. I would love to see him a little more inside driven and attacking guys more one-on-one. The offense, I think, in his game is just only scratching the surface. I really, really like him. I think he's a really good player, and he's gotten better, I think, every time I've seen him this year. Interesting to see Luka Arco on here. He's a guy that I've seen over the year a little bit, and he's been decent. Adam Anderson, I do really like Adam Anderson. I'm surprised he's not higher. Just a big, strong center who skates well and protects the puck well and has some skill to him. Like, just a nice pressure absorber type of guy who I think has a lot of potential and upside. Again, a June birthday. Like if you get another inch or two of growth out of him, like again, not the biggest thing, but it could make a difference. You might get it out of him, and a guy that skilled and that mobile at that height, I'll take it. Sure. But I mean, all overall, like these European guys, the thing about this draft class is like, it gets really hard to order stuff really, really quickly. It gets really tough really quick. I have the guys that I really like, and there's a lot of them that are lower on this list, and that's fine. I don't really care. That's just how she goes. I have guys that I like, and like Verdi Svensk. I know I'm probably the only one on the Verdi Svensk wagon, but I mean, considering he's played with the Finnish junior team, the under-20 team this year, and he was at the U18s last year, and I thought he looked really good in both those scenarios. I think he's pretty heavily undervalued, especially if you have a guy like Pavel Denisov ahead of him, or, like even a Thomas Galvis. Like, I love Galvis, but I don't know. I think I might go with a Verdi Svensk and the foot speed that he's got over a guy like Galvis. Felix Carrel getting that World Junior bump here. Milton Yastrin's brother is an interesting one. I've seen him here and there over the course of the season. I do like him. I think he's got some intriguing skill, and he's just sort of barely starting his career in the under 20 level, and I've seen him here and there. I'm not sure he's a guy that I would draft, but he is an intriguing one. Oh my God, there's another +3 in here. Semyon Semenov. I don't think, can you even? Oh yes, you can. Yeah, you could draft him. Yeah, the 05. You got 05s in here, right? Like that's what we're dealing with. Okay. Right. Galvis is a +2. Right. He's not a +3. How could I forget? But yeah, wow, pretty wild. There's a lot of re-entries here from Europe, but such is life. Look, I mean, if Justavar Karlsson were a couple inches taller, I feel like he'd be significantly high. Like, this is kind of where I love to get a little bit nitpicky and a little petty, right? Like, you're looking at a guy who's been playing SHL hockey all season long and just won a gold medal with a shorthanded goal in the gold medal game, for Sweden, a team that notoriously everybody says chokes. And you've got him behind guys playing like Czech junior hockey, or, like I like Isaac Hedqvist. I think he's an interesting player, but I feel like Kasper Justavar Karlsson in 2 years, right? He's about 2 years younger. I get the feeling that in 2 years you're gonna see a heck of a hockey player out of a Justavar Karlsson, and Hedqvist is good, but I don't know. Rafik Vorozian is fun. He's an interesting one. I don't know. Again, I don't know if I would draft him, but that's interesting. No, he's not. I was gonna look for our child Ivan Fomin, but he's a little too small. Cooper Dennis can make it, but Ivan Fomin, no way, no shot, son. Anything else in here? I'm curious to see what this looks like when I dump it into my database here. But there are a lot of guys that I just haven't seen enough of to really know yet. I mean, there's a lot of good players this year, and I'm only one man. I'm only capable of one thing at a time. Yeah, Lucien Bernat's another one that I've liked over the course of the season. Another big, heavy topper, a guy. He's decent, gets the job done. I mean, okay, this is a little surprising now that I see it again. Malte Gustafsson at 8 is a bit of a surprise. The last game I saw of him was an SHL game from like December, and he was simply sublime. He was spectacular in that game. And then we watched a game of Nordmark in the SHL, and he was fine. But again, I look at Nordmark and I go, this should be a checkbox of things that NHL teams are spooked about. Like my European top 10, I think, if I'm being honest and true, well, I guess I could just look at it. It'd be Stenberg, Bjork, Gustafsson, Suvanto, Smits, Piperinen, Hawkinson. And then Svensk, Justavar Karlsson, Hermansson. Is Wiggo Sorensen on here? Is he? I don't think so. I didn't see him. Yeah, he's not on here. So Wiggo Sorensen, a guy that I love, he's not on there. But I mean, look, I get it. He's playing 4th division pro Swedish hockey. So not the most easy to pick through level, but every under 18 game that I've seen him for the Swedish junior team, he's been really good. And I bet that if he shows up at the under 18s this year, he's going to be a pretty intriguing player to keep an eye on. What about goaltenders? Let's see what I mean. I think this is a decent year for goaltenders, to be honest. Interesting. This to me, Orshilak here seems to me to just be he was at the World Juniors and went deep. I didn't really think that he was super noteworthy. I mean, to me, the guy that I love, there are a few that I really like that I'm happy to see are up in this range. But also one thing also is look at how many non-Canadians are on this list for North American goaltenders. Orshilak, Tribal, Lari, Tversnik, Sklenichka, Shakov, so many guys in Canada and the US who are just not, who are European, Russian, whatever you want to call it. So if that doesn't send a little message, I'd be curious what does. But I do really like the goalies in this year's class, especially I liked Noling when I've seen him. Trabel, Lassell is the guy that I've loved. Like, I think Lassell is the real deal for a Canadian goaltender. I think he's legit. And clearly Central Scouting thinks that as well because he's the top-ranked actual Canadian goaltender. Sklenichka in Seattle is another really good one. Young, big, lanky goaltender, similar to Trabel. Trabel at 6'3" and 3/4 is surprising. I feel like he looks like a stick man in net. He looks like a bit of a stick man in net, but I'll take it. He's pretty good too. Who else? Oh, I like Yermolenko in Niagara. I probably would have had him higher, but I haven't seen enough of the guys ahead of him to be totally sure. Xavier. Oh my god, I keep saying Yermolenko went in Federal for 3 guys that I've really liked this year. And I bet that if Went and Federal were listed as half an inch taller, they'd be much higher on this list. I get the feeling that, again, like, look at the heights of these guys: 6'5", 6'4", 6'4", 6'3", 6'3", 6. Like, obviously, I think there is a lot of truth that goaltenders need to have some size and athleticism these days. But I think you still have to judge a player by their output. And when I watch guys like Fedorov and Wendt and Yermolenko, I see tremendously athletic goaltenders that I've really liked watching this year. Who else is on here? No one else that I really know that I've seen much of. Will Keane is interesting. I think I had him on a list and then I pulled him off. But yeah, those guys. Yeah, Philip Ruzicka is... I see you. You're not going to get it. You're not going to get me. You're not going to get me today. What about European goalies? And then we can go to the chat for the rest of the show. A lot of people seem to like Viggo Tam. I haven't seen enough of him to know. I'm not huge on Politin from what I've seen with Pelicans, but who would be the guys below him that I do really like? Plumins in Latvia. I do like Plumins. I'd be curious to see how he does at the U18s this year. Let's see. But the guys that I have, I do have like, what are my goalie rankings? I do have a goalie ranking. My goalie rankings are Borichev, number 1. So that is good. I'm not that dumb. Ribkin, number 2, which also makes sense to me. That guy is awesome. He is as tall as Philip Ruzicka, actually. Then I've got Yermolenko, who was lower on the list for the other one. For North America. Trabel was ranked, what was it, 3? Yeah, 3. I have Marty Netzkash, the French Czech playing in Switzerland. I'm honestly surprised he's not on here, but he is 6 feet tall, so maybe that's the disqualifying thing, but whatever. And Lascelles. But all of those guys I really, really like. From, I'd say, Borichev, Rybkin, Yarmolenko, Trebel, Lascelles, Netskash, Slonichka, Noling, Dmitry Evchenko I've liked. He's number 8 on this list. A lot of good ones. There's a lot of good players this year. Like, it's really hard to poke through all of this and really go, oh yeah, you know, this guy's the one that I definitely want. This is the. It's tough, man. Yeah, Patrick Plumans is in here. I like him. I mentioned that already. Interesting stuff. Very, very, very interesting. This threw me hard. This threw me hard. I always feel like I am. This makes me feel like I always am just out of my mind. I always feel like I am ahead of the game, and I'm ready for whatever surprises come my way from Central Scouting's list. But every year they seem to outdo themselves in my expectation, and it gives me a lot to think about and a lot to chew on. But boy, interesting stuff to say the least. All right, well, we're an hour in. So let's go to the chat. Let's do that. Let's talk. Let's talk Marat. Yeah, Marat 4 goal, 5 point. Who's Nadinov? Yeah. Who could have guessed? I mean, I never would have thought Marat Nadinov was going to be a 5.4 goal guy ever. But when you look at the New York Rangers this year, you never know what you're going to get. Who knows? You know, you might get a 10-2 win or whatever it was, right? So. Let me just grab this here. There it is. All right. But yeah, who loves Marat Nadinov? Put your hands up in the chat, right? Like, there you go. What about, did this work? Does this do anything? Anyway. Thoughts on Tynan Lawrence's move to BU? I think it's a good thing. I think he had some habits with Muskegon that definitely were a little bit problematic because of how just good he is. You know, get your legs back with Muskegon after being hurt and then just run off to college, man. Do your thing. I get it. I think it's always admirable for, like, he's an 08. So I think it's always admirable for an 08 to finish up school early and get themselves to college as early as they can. I think that I'll be very curious to see how he does with BU. I believe the line they started him with was with Yzerman and someone else. It was Yzerman and someone else who was a really good matchup for him. I can't remember who it was, but he's a good one, and I'll be excited to see how he does at BU for the rest of the year. I mean, for me, it's about seeing his play driving ability, his playmaking ability taking a step, shot selection taking a step. But yeah, I've got a game of his to do. I'll probably do it tomorrow, maybe Thursday. If I don't have the time tomorrow, but I could see Lawrence being a good college player relatively quickly. Where do you think Villeneuve realistically goes, 11 through 16? Well, I mean, never underestimate an NHL team to go, I don't know. If it's not going to work, we're not going to take him. Like, I mean, I think he's awesome. But 20s, maybe? Like, at this rate, like, if Central Scouting is seeing him as a mid-first round in North America alone, maybe the 20s at this rate. Like, he's going to end up in Carolina or something. I don't think Carolina has a first-round pick. He's going to end up somewhere silly, though, for sure, because they're just going to go, yeah. They're going to go, why wouldn't we take a chance on this guy? Take a chance on him. Is Tynan Lawrence Sebastian Aho? I kind of see where you're coming from a little bit. Yeah, maybe that's a decent one. I need to see more of Lawrence, though, to be more positive, but he's up that alley, like a really great 200-foot center who is aggressive off the puck and just smart and intense and drives the play up the ice really effectively and all that stuff. I could see it. Who do you think are some guys that have good net front presence in the draft? Well, Belchet's for sure. Yeah, Belchet's, Mutrin, I think. Trying to think. There was one that I had in my head. Von Hatalo. He's also a pretty good one that I could see working the front of the net pretty well. If Morozov doesn't work out as a center, maybe that's a job he could do decently well. Yeah. Definitely Belchet's, though. That's for sure. Definitely Belchet's. Maybe Rogowski, just because he's so heavy and big, and apparently he's a mid-first round draft pick. So, I don't know. Question. How dare you? If there is a player you think is top 10, which you think could be the one that drops, and if so, for what reason and how far? Well, I mean, the big one for me would be, the big two would be Villeneuve and Preston. I mean, everybody was expecting Preston to be a 100-point player this year, and he wasn't. Hasn't been, and unlikely is going to be. And people are looking at that as a negative. I don't really care that much about point production. I look at the player, and I think there's just as strong a floor for him, or just as strong a ceiling as anybody in the draft class. Villeneuve, he's just a small defenseman. The NHL drafted 0 defensemen under 6 feet last year, and while I don't think there were any other than Galvis to be picking under 6 feet last year for sure, they're going to overlook a guy like, at this rate, they're probably going to overlook a guy like Villeneuve. I mean, all it takes is one team to disagree and go, yeah, we're going to take the chance on him early. But that's one. But definitely those two. Viggo Bjork maybe, but I doubt it after the World Juniors. Everyone's too low on Casey Mutrin. Well, I'm not. I've got him top 20. I love him. I think he's an awesome hockey player. I think he is exactly the type of player that you rally around. Again, like, I love the guys that I love in the draft are the guys who you win with. And I know that sounds cliche, but I have my own philosophy about what that means. I don't necessarily care so much about who scores the most, who has the most skill, who has this or this or this. I just go, who just is the competitive? Who's the competitive guy? Who's the competitive guys? Who are the guys that when I throw them over the boards with a 2-1 lead, 2 minutes left in the game, I am trusting that we can get to the finish line. If we need a goal down 2-1, who am I going to throw over the boards that I can trust we're going to get the best possible chance at scoring a goal? You know, if the game is tied, we should be losing. Who do I want out there to grind the game down to the final seconds? Guys like Casey Mutrin, man, I will take every day. Especially outside the top end of the draft. I think that with the size, the skating ability, the strength on the puck, the skill level, he's got some skill as well to him. That I think is just really worth betting on. And if he's a second round pick, easy second round pick to me. Easy one. Wyatt Cullen getting some respect is good. I mean, he's in my first round. He's 31st on my list. That range is extremely close, I would say. From like Nemitz down is extremely close, like for a round and a bit. Right? Like it's a lot of guys that are all like slammed in there, but I do really like Wyatt Cullen. Really young, but really smart, really skilled. I think the second game I did of him was better than the first one. He's getting his legs back after missing a bunch of time. I haven't seen him in a while, but he's a guy that I really have liked over the course of this season. So good to see him getting some attention, and I think he deserves it. I really like Wyatt Cullen. And his dad is a longtime NHL player, so that obviously carries a lot of weight as well. If you have the bloodlines, you know. Brooks Rogowski was in there. Yeah, I mean Lawrence being taller than McKenna, I'm not. I don't know. They're comparable, not the biggest deal. Have you checked in on the Ruck twins? No, but I have a game of Liam to do. I was surprised to see Liam that high, or was it no Marcus? Marcus was that high, and I just with those two guys. I mean, I think they're really smart. They're smart hockey players, but I don't know if they're top 40 picks or whatever that range indicates. Then go off. I wouldn't do it. I think that the projection for them is really, really tough as of right now. But maybe I'm missing something with them, but I haven't seen them in a while. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, Central Scouting does kind of mirror the draft a little bit. The general trends, I think it mirrors pretty well. Like, I think between this and Corey Pronman last minute, you kind of look and you go, all the times where you go, how in the hell is that possible? Those are the calls and the takes where you go, oh, they're actually right? Like those are the ones that usually, NHL will value size, man. If you're big, the NHL will value you. It's just the way of the business. Yeah, Rubrek being as high as he was is surprising, but again, he's humongous. That's a plus. I don't really know. He's in my second round, and I just don't know. There are other guys again. Like, is he that? Like what we talked about with Mutrin? Is he that? I don't think so. I don't know. And yes, Belchitz is indeed huge. The Canada Hungry. Oh yeah, I saw this. The World Under 18 Women's is getting going, and it's a bit more lopsided than I expected. The last few years have been a little bit more competitive, but it seems like the maybe the influence of the PWHL and more attention on women's sports over the last few years has not saying that they don't do this elsewhere. But in North America, it seems like Canada and the U.S. are destined to, somehow meet each other at the end of the day in this tournament. Because yeah, the Canada Hungary game was 14-0. The shots were insane. The World Juniors weren't the World Juniors for the boys were not that different not too long ago, right? Like I remember the days where Canada was out there beating Kazakhstan 16-0. I remember that game, watching that and going like, good Lord, like, but those days are kind of over in the World Juniors, it seems, ish. So, look, I don't know. The women's game still has some way to go, but Canada, US, man, they are. I saw some of the Canada game they played, the first one they played. I haven't seen the US team yet, but these girls can play, man. The women's hockey is getting good real quick. I think there's a lot of eyeballs and there's a lot of attention now, and it's yeah. And also one of the best arena experiences that I have had in the last few years was at a Toronto Scepters game. It was a riot. It was so much fun. So if you haven't been to a PWHL game, I highly recommend it. It is a lot of fun. Novotny gives me Lawson Krause vibes. I don't know where that comes from, but I don't know. I mean, with Novotny, I did him a few days ago. It was not amazing. Like the raw talent there is so good, and it's one of those guys where I want to like grab him by the shoulders and go like, do you have any idea how good you could be? Like, but he's pretty good for what he is. A high pace, high skill, high energy winger who is very, very individually talented, but might be a little bit of a head scratcher as part of a unit, and you kind of just have to live with that. I don't know. It's tricky. He's a tricky one. Who's my top Russian? I mean, technically it's Fyodorov, but I'm not tied to that at all. Looking at the Russians this year, let's see. Yeah, Fyodorov is one, and then I've got Pugachev, who is awesome. I love him. And they're in the same tier. Right? Yeah. I've got Ivan Fomin in there. I don't care what anybody says. He's decent. Yaroslav Fedoseev. Nikita Gromikov. I like him. He's a fun one to watch. Alexander Granin. I don't think he was on Central Scouting's list, and I'm not surprised. Shekli Slamov. I like Shekli Slamov, but again, like was he in the top 10 or top 12, something like that? Maybe not. But that seems a little crazy to me. Yeah, people made it seem like Malhotra's huge, and he's only 3/4 of an inch taller than Lawrence. Yeah, I agree. I mean, again, like I don't think about these bio stuff things too much. You could be 6'6" and the softest player in the world. You could be 5'8" and the tough as nails player you've ever seen in your life. In fact, I would wager a guess that there are more tough as nails, rock solid 5'8", 5'9" hockey players in the world than there are 6'6" ones, because they just have to be that way to find success. Like I see the advantage of being a big player, but everything is on a spectrum, right? Every ability in a player's game relative to another is on a spectrum, and it depends on how you weigh your spectrum. I know how I do mine, but for me, I don't really care how big you are. It's not about how big you are. It's about how you use it. But it is true. It's more about like what you bring to the game. And so whenever I hear people say like, oh, well, this guy's bigger than this guy, and we're talking again about this or less, as you pointed out, less than this, 25% less than this, then, I don't know what we're doing here then. 4 players you should remember the name of. For the Canadian team. Yeah. Sure. Yeah, I do need to watch more of that. I haven't had the time. I'm still catching up. Like December for me was so busy with like traveling and catching up from that, and then rankings and catching up from that, and World Juniors and catching up from that. So I'm still working through the backlog, but the women's under 18 is always a good time, and I'll be watching it when I can. Hey, if you want to compare Casey Mutrin to Morgan Geeky, be my guest. I love that. I won't complain. And yeah, like Preston being nearly the same size as McKenna is like getting Berkeley Catton in the second round. I agree. Yeah. Preston's floor versus McKenna's. Look, I saw a tweet a few weeks ago that was sent to me by one of my favorite accounts, and it was like something along the lines of like Nail Yakupov. It was Gavin McKenna has a higher chance of being Nail Yakupov than he does Nikita Kucherov. And like that is an extremely blunt, aggressive way of putting something that I kind of feel, because I think if you are the biggest pessimist alive, then I guess I could see where you're coming from on that, and that is a possibility. But I refuse to put myself in that position of that being my expectation, and that being something that I'm like hoping for or thinking is likely, because I think a lot more I think went into the picture with the Nail Yakupov situation. But also, again, this is why I keep saying like I want to interview McKenna. I would if I'm a team, I really would make it come down to how he comes off and how my team likes him and how my development staff likes him, and how, because you're going to have to work with him. There are, I will say this, right? And you're going to have to come to your own understanding on this, because like, I know what I think, but like with McKenna, the floor is like, it depends. Like if you believe, like I fully believe that there are things in his game that either, like I don't think there's any doubt that he'll be an NHL player, but he will either be a supremely talented playmaker with first line scoring winger potential, and you put him with the right guys and he'll be absolutely unbelievable. And all of the things about his game that may be slightly concerning they don't matter. Does not matter. He gets to within league average. He's an okay stick checker. A lot of stuff is just okay with him and it's fine. You get the job done, whatever. Cool, fine. And then the offense is the offense. That's fine. I still think that to do that in the NHL, there's going to be some work and some learning and some adjustments, and that's normal, right? Like every player is going to have to do that. If that doesn't happen, if he keeps trying to, try everything himself and be a huge individual player who outside the offensive zone, it's get me the puck and I will carry it and try to take on 3 guys at once all the time and all that stuff. But if I get possession in the offensive zone, it's automatic and I'll get a point, especially on the power play, then that might be a little bit problematic, right? Like, you don't know these things from the outside perspective, like how that might turn out. But the upside is so high that, whatever. But with Preston, you see all the ingredients already, no matter what, right? Like, I think he's a more intense defensive player than he gets credit for. Like, I see him on back checks, stripping pucks off guys, turning play around. Like, that's why I still see that sort of, I know Joel Henderson disagreed with me and said more of a Nino Niederreiter, but the analytics on Nino Niederreiter for his whole career suggests like a top 6 at the very least winger, like a first line caliber player. And like, okay. But with Preston, I think that all of that goes along with, I think, an electrifying combination of skill and quickness and speed that are really hard to find and really hard to get on top of if you're an opponent, because also he's got that skill to stop up, make gaps, find plays. He's got a hell of a shot. I'd love the shot selection to get a little bit better. And unfortunately, we'll see how long he's out. But I feel a little bit less concerned watching a Preston when it comes to the NHL than I do about a McKenna. But do I think that McKenna can, like, with the right development staff and the right learning and learning the right things and the right experience, do I think he could be absolutely also lights out good, extremely talented offensive NHL player? Absolutely. So it depends. It depends. Like, if you want to be extremely pessimistic, which I am not, then I can see how you might, kind of come out and rage bait people a little bit, being like he's more Nail Yakupov. But, there's a wide range of possible outcomes, but I'm going to bet on the positive with him. And my whole thing with him all year, I've said this countless times, it's not that I don't think he's good. It's that I think there's just a group of guys at the top end of this year's draft that you could make an argument for as potentially the best players in the draft. I think there's a group rather than far and away it's Gavin McKenna. But that's only because of really the uncertainty in his game outside of the areas of the game where he is truly extraordinary. So we'll see. Time will tell. We're going to have to wait and see. How good is Elton Hermanson? Pretend I'm your GM who knows nothing about Elton and currently that he's only 6'1" and 180 pounds and has 15 points in 24 hockey Allsvenskan games. So Elton Hermanson is extremely individually talented. If you really, really like high skill, high flying offensive guys who love carrying the puck themselves, love holding on to it and trying to look for options themselves, loves to push defensemen onto their heels, then Elton Hermanson is a good option. If you are willing to maybe be patient with a player, spend a few seasons in Sweden and just get better and better, let him go to a couple of World Juniors, and he's got some lessons I think he needs to learn, but at the end of the day, the talent level is alone worth a first-round draft pick. Do I think there's a chance that he is another one of these high-skill Swedes who it takes a while to get comfortable in the NHL, or he never gets comfortable in the NHL at all? Sure, I see that as a possibility. But in terms of like a skill and speed combination with sort of that evasiveness and a really, really good shot, really good skill, especially at lower paces of play, Hermanson's really, really high up there. I like him. He's a good player. but it's more about like his hockey sense and his consistency that is a bit of a question mark for me. The argument against Villeneuve is that he plays in the queue. It's not the WHL, but it's more offensive for his defense stats. I mean, yes, but again, like I said this earlier, go watch the CHL NTDP series. That's not the queue. That he's playing the best under 18 team in America, right? Go watch him on the under 18s last year, right? I think he was exceptional in that tournament, and if you go back and listen to the commentary, they're talking about how special of a player he is, and like how many times have we heard people go like, boy, if you redraft that Lane Hudson draft, where does he go? 5, 6, 7, 7, 6, 7, maybe 10, definitely not 60, right? So it's like, yeah, you know, I think Villeneuve is beyond where Hudson was at that age. I think there were legitimate concerns about Lane Hudson. It's just that the offensive side of things and the creativity and the skill, who gives a poop? Who gives a duty about some defensive issues? Just watch him play. Yeah, here and there you might see some stuff where you're like, wow, that's not ideal, but like what else is new with an NHL player? Find me an NHL player who's like always perfect defensively, right? It's rare. But what also is rare is what Hudson can do with the puck, and I think also the same thing about Villeneuve. Tyus Sparks is also in the Fun Name Club. You're right. That's exactly right. Yeah, Rayanne, you've been here 50 months, man. What the hell are you doing? I don't know what the hell's wrong with you. Thoughts on Doman Christoph Shongoth? Yeah, one of the only 16-year-olds to go to the World Juniors or the World Championships ever. The Hungarian wizard himself. No, I mean, I've seen him a few times over the course of the season. He's not a huge priority for me, but he's a decently physical player. There's nothing really inherently wrong with how he plays. I'd want to see him in Liga for sure. He played there a little bit last year. And in the junior league, he just doesn't really seem to be too much of a difference maker, like too much of a high impact guy consistently enough for me to be really comfortable. But, he is a decently intriguing physical guy who can play any forward position, I would think, and not look out of place. I don't know. I'm not sold on him, but he's an intriguing one. And I just think he's a bit of a long shot. If Viggo Bjork was 6'1", he'd be 1 or 2. Exactly. I think that's absolutely true. If Viggo Bjork was a little bit bigger, he would be right there with Stenberg, I think. You got to see Proskurin and Juuso Ainasto. I've seen Proskurin. I don't know. I didn't see him be great, but I'll have to consult our local goaltending expert, our affiliated goaltending expert on that one. He's not one of the Russians that I thought too much of. Thoughts on Mark Fogelnest? I mean, I know I mentioned him as a bit of a joke, but I mean, he's one of these guys. I think he played one game last year and had a hat trick. That's kind of why I noted him. Let's see, Mark Fogelnest. Damn, there's a profile picture for him. Okay, so yeah, the game I saw last year, he had 2 goals. Yeah, I mean, I'm like 90% joking. I don't really. I remember him being fun and skilled and nothing like super game changing. Thoughts on Yaroslav Matiev? Is that the guy on Sochi or is that the guy on Spartak? It is the guy. Oh, Khabarovsk. He's on Amur. I mean, he's very, very big and his footwork is okay. The rest, I have no idea. I haven't seen him in a while, but he's big and lanky, kind of. I guess he's 220 pounds, but he's big, so someone might give him a pick. He's big and Russian, and when I watched him, I did not think NHL draft pick for me, but he's a decent skater for a big guy, and I haven't seen him in a long time, so might be time to check him out. It was Ryder Ritchie. Tynan Lawrence was playing with Ryder Ritchie. Abby Murphy and Riker Lee trained together. Yeah, exactly. I agree. At a school coached by Philip Forsberg. Yeah, 100%. Thoughts on Carl Otto Magnuson? humongous, obviously. Interesting guy. I had him on the watch list last year. I wouldn't draft him this year, I don't think, in this class. But he's enormous and uses his size pretty well. He's a guy that I think might work his way into the NHL one day. Maybe not right now. I'm surprised he came to North America. But you know what? He wants to go to college, I believe, is the plan. But is someone going to draft him now that he's come to North America? Maybe. But yeah, I'm not totally sure. But he's very, very big, moves the puck okay for a big man, skates pretty well for a big man. I remember last year watching him a little bit, and he absolutely crumpled a guy, and it didn't even look like he was trying. Like, he just kind of like guided the guy into the boards, and the guy just went, boop, horizontal floor, right? Like that, and I went, well, that was fun. That was intriguing. So yeah. Yeah, Viggo Bjork will be forgotten until the under 18s. Yeah, James Haggins did prove that a good World Junior gold medal gets you attention for a month. Yeah, I did bump Fyodorov a lot. I mean, I think as an undersized, rambunctious, sort of skilled guy, he looks a lot better than he did at the beginning of the year. A lot more comfortable against men. A lot more successful defensively, I think. And I don't know if he's a center down the road, but as a bottom six winger who just keeps mixing things up and attacking the right way and just plays the right way. I think that alone, if you find a guy that's that confident in that area, late first round into the second round makes sense for me. I think Pugachev has higher upside, I think, but I really love what Fyodorov brings to the game and like how he does it. I don't know if he'll stay this high. Let's be clear. I don't know if he will stay that high, but he's a pretty good one. Which of the top 20 or 30 prospects are you not high on? Not high. Let's see. I got to pull it up again here. How could I also forget Albert Schmitz, Olympian? That's also a thing to keep in mind. Olympian. Okay. Was it the top 20 to 30? I mean, okay. So here are just all the guys that in the top 20 or 30 that when I watch, I don't see the same thing, right? Carroll's, Malhotra I see as top 20, but not top 5. So not huge on him, but not that high. Rudolph. Okay, so let's skip Malhotra. I think he deserves to be in there for sure. Carroll's, Rudolph, Hurlbert, Rogowski, Klepov, Shilov, Diorio. I don't know about McBeath enough to know for sure. Vanacek. I don't mind Ryder Cali, but I wouldn't have him this high. But I also haven't seen him in a bit. I think he's injured too. But he seems fine. Liam Ruck, probably. Oh, Liam is higher than Marcus. Okay, I was wrong. Yeah, the Rucks, Rubrek, Morrison, Harrington. I mean, he's 32. But like, I definitely would have Hextall higher. Probably would have Plant higher. Again, if Plant's listed at 5'9.5", if he were 5'11", I think he'd be in the first 32 here easily. And for me, I just go, well, then he's in the top 32. But yeah, I'd have Hextall and Plant higher for sure. Bowie maybe a bit higher. Cover, I'm surprised is that low, but I just really like him. Yeah. Why am I not high on Rudolph? I watch Rudolph and I just don't know what type of NHL player plays like that. Where he is like, I likened him earlier in the year to a trampoline. The puck is never on his stick for very long. He's just popping it wherever. Sometimes it's a 3-line pass, tape to tape, and you go, holy smokes. Sometimes it's a tape to tape pass to the other team, rimmed along the boards to absolutely nobody on his own team. He defends with his knees locked a lot of the time. No footwork. Like he like some people say, oh, he plays like he makes the game look easy. And maybe that's true, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what an NHL play like. If that's an NHL defenseman with so much confidence that he's ranked as a top 10 pick, then it's a different brand of defending than I am comfortable with. Because like in all my years of doing this, I don't think I've seen a defenseman in the top 10 that plays like him, like ever. Right? I don't know any of them. Right? And again, like I know he's got points. A lot of them are on the power play. When I watch him, again, it's that trampoline thing. He's getting pucks in the offensive zone. Boom, it's on net. Shot, heavy defenseman. And that can lead to offense. I just don't. And when I look at defensemen, I don't really care how much they score. Like it doesn't really make that much of a difference to me. Like I look at defensemen from their defensive abilities and their transition abilities more than anything, especially their transition game. Because like the game is won and lost in the neutral zone, if you ask me. Like, so I don't know. I mean, I got a game of Rudolph. I'll see him again tomorrow, literally tomorrow. So Thursday, you can ask me again if you want, if my thoughts have changed. Because it's entirely possible that I've just seen every game that is just not a good one from him or not indicative of what he's capable of. But even at the NTDP series, like I thought he had some good moments there for sure, and that's why I have him ranked now. At first I didn't even have him ranked, but I don't know about, like I just didn't think, like I looked at him relative to like Villeneuve and even Lynn or something. I just did not see him on that level consistently, really. If you're a rebuilding team this year, is this a draft year to go all out on picks on, or is this draft top heavy? Honestly, like any draft year, any year, its volume is valuable, especially in this day and age. Like, I mean, if you have like a Schaefer, Misa, Celebrini, Bedard, if you're picking first overall most years now, a lot of the time, like there's a probably really good player that you definitely, want. And I think that McKenna could be another one of those. He has the skill level. He's got the playmaking vision to put himself in that echelon. But I think there are other guys that also showcase really, really, really high-end ability that is really hard to find. And if I'm not drafting... If a team wants Gavin McKenna first overall, I'm never, ever, ever, ever going to question that. I'm never going to complain about it. I get it. I see why. Even if I might have concerns, I don't know who I'd draft second overall. I don't know who I'd go to bat for first overall this year. Like there's a lot of good players. Would I go to bat for like Viggo Bjork first overall? Probably not. Probably not. But like Verhoff, McKenna, hell, I love Preston. Lawrence I adore as well. Villeneuve I think is a special hockey player. Stenberg we all saw it with our own eyeballs, just how good he can be. So yeah, it's a tough draft year, but I do think that this is a year where if I'm a team that's amassing draft picks, like if you can, like there's a lot of guys I have in my first round that I am very confident you'll be able to get later in the draft. And that's not unusual in my work. Like that's not unusual. And that's usually where the value in my work comes out. Like if I get Jack Hextall in the second round this year, I am bouncing off the walls. I think that he's awesome. And if he's a second round pick, like I'm fully ready to push for him. If he's there at like 20, 25, I'd be willing to be like, maybe this guy. Because if it's the second round and he's like the third guy I'm drafting and I'm a rebuilding team, I'm pretty happy. The thing about this draft year is I think it's really, really close, and there's a lot of really, really interesting players. I'd say up until Adam Nemec in my first round, as you can see next to me there, I am very intrigued by, in some way, all of those guys. beyond that, it's a total hodgepodge of really intriguing guys that I just don't have the certainty are gonna be NHLers. But what I've seen, I like out of them, right? Or at least what I've seen out of them, it's like, all right, now is when I kind of would be like, yeah, let's see what happens when we take these guys. But everybody above that, I've seen something about them that I think is really, really impressive. And a lot of those guys might be available outside the first round. If you had to put out 5 prospects to kill off a 6-on-5, who are you putting out there? In this year's draft class, Lawrence, Lawrence, maybe Preston even. If it's a 6-on-5 and Preston's out there, he'll block a shot. He'll throw a hit, man. I've seen Preston lay some hits this year, and he's pretty good at it when he wants to be. Like, that's the other thing about Preston is, like, he's a player that I would love to draft and develop because, like, all I would do is, like, motivate him. It's like you could be extraordinarily good. It's just there's, like, it's a matter of, like, consistency and finding that, like, nasty edge that's kind of there more often and just leaning into your strengths. Like, lean into it and just keep hammering away at your opponents. And, like, it's one of those things where it's like other people might see things about you as a negative, but, like, I think I think you could be great. And so him, like, blocking a shot and taking off, beating the defenseman of the puck for an empty netter. Not many other guys in this draft I'd absolutely certainly would want out there, even if he is a little bit smaller. I mean, he's 5'10", 5'11", right? Like, he's not that small. But anyway, I mean, I might put, like, a Piparinen and Håkansson out there on defense if I want to win that game. Probably not Verhoff. But yeah, the other forward I'd have up front, like Lawrence, maybe Yustavar Carlson or Mutrin, honestly. Like, one of those guys. Yeah. Something like that. That'd be pretty fun. Preston, I believe, is hurt. I don't know about how hurt, but he is hurt. On the same day, Cullen Potter also got injured, so it was a bad day for the brand. Which good prospect is the most unknown? I think it's Ferdy Svensk. I think that guy is one of the better skating defenders in the entire draft class. Again, it's like similar to Rudolph. I've heard people say things about him where I just go, it's the opposite. Like, you're explaining a really talented player. Like, but you know what I mean? Like, it's like when people say things about Rudolph, I go, yeah, you're not talking. It doesn't sound like a guy that you really value super high. Like, it doesn't sound like it. But then you hear other people be like, well, Svensk, he's an elite skater, but, like, he's too fast for the game. And it's like, the NHL is really fast. Like, the NHL is all about that. Like, is Connor McDavid too fast for his own good? Like, where are we coming from with that? Like, I don't understand what that means. Like, you're you know, he's already, like, well beyond his peers in a Finnish junior league, which is obviously not saying a ton. And he's not perfect, but I think with the skating ability alone and the skill level he's got, that is a guy that, like, if he's a 6th round pick or whatever, I'll do that. I'll take the chance on him, whatever that means to you, right? Like, I mean, geez, like, the team scouting shortlist is going to need a bit of a rework, because I bet that there's going to be some good players available. Because it's a third. What is it? A third. What is it? A third, a fourth, and a sixth, something like that. Anyway, I mean, if Central Scouting is to be believed, we might have a good time this summer, even though there's only 3 draft picks in this draft class, which is endlessly depressing. The draft simulator tool that I built last year is going to get plenty of workouts of those 3 draft picks, and it is going to be annoying the whole time. What do you think about Nemitz coming over? I mean, it's interesting. Sudbury's not incredible, but it's interesting. Really smart. We'll see how it works. I haven't seen him with Sudbury yet, but yeah. David, I'm skipping your question because I don't believe that person is real. Which sport, not including hockey, would be the best with a year of training? Man, I don't know. I mean, I have done other sports in my life, so I'm a little biased towards those. Like, I picked up kickboxing pretty quickly, and I really like that. I really like a good kickbox. I might be the whole fighting is dumb in the NHL type person, but I do love kickboxing, man. If I trained hard for a year, based on where I was before the pandemic, like the pandemic kind of killed the vibe on kickboxing classes for a while, and we just haven't picked it up since. Like, I've got the bike back there, but I don't want to be a professional cyclist. I don't want to do that. That's awful. But kickboxing, I always had fun sparring. And honestly, like it was weird, but I kind of like I sparred a couple times with a guy who at the gym there was like actually a fighter and was more just like looking for a punching bag, and I was looking for just someone to fight. And he punched me in the head so hard my contact lens fell out once. and that was, I had fun. Genuinely, I did. You know, it was fun. So maybe kickboxing. Honestly, that might be it. It was fun. If Schmitz has a strong Olympics, could you see him being the first D-man taking? Sure. Yeah, sure. Who would be the best at hockey? Santa or the Easter Bunny or the Grinch or Bugs Bunny or Daffy Duck? You gotta think it would be Bugs Bunny, because like the Easter Bunny is commonly portrayed as like large, and you gotta think that if the Easter Bunny is delivering chocolate to children, he is like getting high on his own supply. 100, like. Look, if you were a magical bunny rabbit that had access to infinite chocolate, you're telling me you wouldn't eat a bunch of it yourself? Like, come on. Like, I think we all would. So I don't think I would trust the Easter Bunny on the ice. The Grinch, maybe. You might grind out some wins with the Grinch. Santa, I'm not ageist, but I'm a be ageist. He's like 2,000 years old. I don't know, man. And Daffy Duck, Daffy's got the name. He's got the word Daffy in his name. That just doesn't sound right. The hockey IQ just might not be there. So it might be tight between the Grinch and Bugs Bunny. But since I'm the speed and skill combination type guy, I will give the advantage to Bugs Bunny. Rank scouting buzzwords: poise, compete, and undersized. I mean, I love poise the most. Poise is my favorite one. Compete, I would say, is the second in that order. Undersized, I mean, I get it when people say undersized, right? Like, I think JP Hurlburt is undersized, and that is an issue for him, right? Like, I think it's a genuine thing. Like, poise, you kind of lost me a little bit with most players. I mean, I've done the cardinal sin of using it here and there to explain a player, but only in dire circumstances. Compete I like because it's a legitimate term, but I also feel like in the years and years of doing this and talking to a camera and talking to you people all the time, the way I've explored what that actually means and am able to articulate that concept in a lot more different like sub-disciplines, and that is really interesting to me. Like that, like finding guys who in certain subsections of that, it's like you see it and you just I love guys like that, and that's always, I think, a pretty safe thing to bet on. There's just something about athletes sometimes that you can just watch them, be it in person or not, and you just go, that is a player that I think will chew his arm off to escape a trap if he had to, right? Like if he was in Saw, he would win. Jigsaw would be like, geez, man, like take it easy. Like I get it. You're tough, man. I get it. Anyway. Who would you rank as the best goalie in this year's class, and would you take any in the first round? So for me, that would be Borichev. Is it Borichev? The local guy? Yeah, Dmitry Borichev. Yegor Rybkin I like too. Those two, I might even consider a LaSalle late first round, certainly second round. Borichev and Rybkin I might think about a little bit more, but LaSalle's really good. There's actually another goaltender who appeared in the Scouching Discord server, and we were talking a little bit about goalies today, actually, and he really likes LaSalle, and I believe him. After what I've seen of him, I believe him. Not that I hold my Discord subscribers and my treasured people who help pay my bills to a certain standard of expectations of I believe you type thing, thumbing my nose, but I like hearing from people who know more about stuff than I do. I listened to the explanation, and I definitely see a lot of the things that he was talking about. So, but for me, like from what I've seen, like Borichev probably, and late first round pick, I would consider it. And Team Scouching has 0 goaltenders, so so maybe we do that. I love Mathis Preston, but the 6-on-5 thing. Well, fine, fair enough, whatever. You'd put Viktor Fyodorov out there. It's the same difference, same deal. Fyodorov's not that much bigger, and yeah, I don't know. I would definitely not have Nemec out there. Top 3 right-handed defenseman prospects. Who are the righties in this year's draft? I don't have it in my tracker which way they shoot. Let's see. Verhoff is a righty. Reed is a righty. Rudolph is a righty. Lynn is a righty. Diario is a righty. I guess I could just go to my actual tracker document here. Let's see. Let's have a look. Master list. And we'll go right-hand defenseman or left-side defenseman. Okay, so Reed, Piparinen, Lynn, Golier, Verhoff, Fedosiev, Alalauri, Pontelis, Rudolph, Braden Thompson. That's number 1 for sure. Braden Thompson. Shout out. No, I have not had time to check out Filip Ruzicka, but I do want to do a goalie tour. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. I'm home alone tomorrow night, so I'll have all the whole evening to myself. So maybe I'll do that, and I will check them out then. I apologize. But yeah, I would say for me, I mean, look at my ranking here. Let's see. Let's see. Who's my top-ranked right-hand defenseman? Verhoff. Taking me forever to answer this question. Okay, so it's pretty obvious. Verhoff, Reed, Piparinen. There you go. Verhoff, Reed, Piparinen. I bet I could make a pretty good lacrosse player. Well, you are a lacrosse player. I know you, Colonel Sanders. I know you. I know what you're about. What's your favorite minor league baseball team name? Ooh, okay. We might need to spend a bit of time on this one. Baseball reference, because I don't know them all, and I want to find a good one. Full site menu. Can I go to minor league? Oh, it's probably at the top, right? Baseball. Is it minor? All right, minor, foreign, college. Yeah, okay. Minor leagues. Let's see. Whoa, this is a very complicated. Why does this have to be this way? Boy. Oh, okay. I see how I can do this. Okay. All right. I apologize for the delay. That league doesn't exist anymore. That league doesn't exist anymore. That league doesn't exist anymore. Okay, so the Pacific Coast League, that's AAA, right? AAA baseball. My dyslexia striked again. Yeah. Your lack of an English education striked again too. Haha. How about that, apples? Regular season standings for the 2025 Pacific Coast League. I don't know anything about these. Okay, right off the top, we got the Sugarland Space Cowboys. That right away is a big, big winner. The Rocket City Trash Pandas. Make me good at lacrosse. See, I also am not good at words. I didn't see the word will in there, especially because it wasn't capitalized like my name. I did play lacrosse in high school a little bit, but not a ton. Yeah, the Rocket City Trash Pandas is pretty good. I mean, the Pensacola Blue Wahoos, that's hilarious. Surprise Saguaros in the Arizona Fall League. the New York Boulders, the Down East Bird Dogs. The Florence Yalls, are you kidding me? The Florence Yalls, you got to be joking me. Michael Quinones having a good year with the Florence Yalls. Wow. But the Sugarland Space Cowboys, I think, wins. I mean, that might be, what's it called, the bias where the first thing you see and the last thing you see are the ones you're most likely to like the most. That might be that happening, but I don't care. Yeah, the Sugarland Space Cowboys for sure. Of all the draft years you've watched, what was your favorite and least favorite? Last year might have been my least favorite. Last year was a struggle. At this point last year, it was tough. The day job was a bit more of a slog than I wanted it to be. The most fun 2021 was a unique challenge because it was bizarre. Guys were all over the place and playing everywhere and playing little bits of time at a time. And that was a fun year to try to figure out. But I'd say 2023 was really fun. There was a lot of really fun players that year. 2020 was also really fun, especially at the top end with guys like Byfield and even Lafreniere at that age, like Strutzla, Raymond, Rossi, Sanderson's second half that year was outstanding. Yeah, sure. Upside of Connor Unger. Isn't that the goalie who is like 30 years old? And Connor Unger. Oh yeah. So he's not 30. He's 24. I mean, having almost a 950 save percentage split across 4 different teams is pretty nuts. But you know, I mean, he's got 5 games of he's got 5 games of AHL experience. And has he been called up? Well, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't expect too much too soon from a guy who, you know, has played with 3 different ECHL teams this year and only 5 games in the AHL. Granted, he's won every single game and has been excellent in all of them, but I don't know. Again, I'm not a goalie expert. I don't know. Goalies are weird. He might be the next big thing. Who would win in a hockey fight, a Neanderthal or Sam Bennett? I get the feeling Sam Bennett would win because a Neanderthal would not be able to skate, probably. I mean, I know they lived through the dry ass period. Was it the driest period where there was that like ice age? The driest period. A sudden intense cold snap. Yeah. Oh, maybe that is what killed them. Because the Neanderthals died out about 10,000 BC, right? Was it a Neanderthal? So maybe they did learn how to skate. Oh, they went extinct 40,000 years ago. Okay, never mind. So they did not live through the Younger Dryas period. But they were Ice Age they lived through Ice Ages, I believe. Sorry, I just read the most recent comment. The Eugene Emeralds occasionally use the name the Exploding Whales to pay homage to the whale that was blown up on the Oregon coastline with dynamite. Man, that is one of my... if that's the same video report that I've seen on TV or on YouTube, that is one of my favorite internet videos ever made, ever. And it's been around. I remember watching that on E-Bombs World because, like, that was back in the days when it was, like, crazy knowledge to know that whales that were beached were actually very dangerous and could literally explode. Like, that at the time was, like, mind-blowing information. So when you see on the internet a video of a whale literally being blown up for people's safety, it's like that is magnet for a 12-year-old kid's, attention span for a while. But anyway, but anyway, with Neanderthals, they probably learned maybe how to skate to get from one place to the next. They used tools, and I imagine they lived through an ice age. So in that case, maybe they'd be able to take Sam Bennett because, Sam Bennett would have a hockey stick as a weapon, but a Neanderthal would have like a club or something probably, because I believe they were also using tools like that as well. I'd like to see it. Maybe by the time I die, we will be able to have some sort of virtual reality AI-powered experience where an estimation of a Neanderthal, you can choose, like Super Smash Brothers, right? You know what? Everybody says AI sucks. Imagine a world where in your living room you have a video game where you're like, you know what? I want to see Sam Bennett fighting a Neanderthal, and the game just creates the character for you and like gives them moves and all that stuff, and you just go, okay, yeah, and let's do this. And I want to fight on ice while they're wearing skates. Now there's a video game. Now there's a use of AI that might make money. Frey and Boumedienne upside. I love Alphonse Frey. Boumedienne is definitely a really talented offensive defenseman, really good puck carrier, really good passer in transition as well, I think. But Frey, I think, just has an excellent mind for the game, great defensive abilities, covers ice extremely well in all four directions. I don't think Boumedienne does the same to the same extent. Boumedienne's definitely more creative and offensively daring. Like, he jumps up into the offensive zone a lot more. But I think Frey is an excellent playmaker off the blue line and just does so many things so well. Thoughts on Lavergashalov? I'm not a fan. I haven't seen him in a while. That's a common refrain, but I can only do so much. I'm one man. But he hasn't been a huge priority for me. When I've checked in on him casually since I've last watched him, I just haven't. Like, he's got some good skill and tight. He had a really nice goal the game that I did where he deked the pants out of a goaltender, but just on a procedural sense, I don't know, man. I didn't really see it with him as one of the Russians that are like potentially one of the best available. Tell me Rick Bowness is going to fix all our problems. You know what? Like, I've always kind of liked Rick Bowness. It seems like players like him too. Maybe. I think Rick Bowness will do well for guys like Fantilli, guys like Johnson. Like, he seems to be a guy who resonates with younger players. And I think that's what Columbus kind of needs. I don't mind Rick Bowness. Look, I think it's high time where a team like Columbus kind of takes a good look at themselves and goes, all right, we got some good young players. We need our Martin St. Louis. Like, we need someone who adores being in Columbus, someone who will stay here, someone that we can believe in and develop as well as a coach, and just let these kids grow with this coach, because Columbus is just kind of still spinning their wheels in the mud. And they have this weird hodgepodge of like young players and veterans and all this stuff. And you're just kind of like, are they going to get over the hump? Are they this? Are they that? I just don't know. And I think this is going to be a big test, right? Like, Rick Bowness, he's a fresh look. He's a more, I guess, like player-friendly, offensive type of fun coach, I guess you could say. We'll see what happens. Okay, so Stenberg is playing TSN 3, 1 p.m. tomorrow. Okay, cool. Champions Hockey League semifinals. All right. Maybe I'll tune in. I don't think I will be able to. I'll be doing my job. Last question of the night, and then we're going to go. Can Sam Losko take on Sam Bennett? No, I really don't think so. Like Sam Losko, the only way Sam Losko wins is if that caveman body like resists enough just being pounded like Homer Simpson style that Sam Bennett gets tired and passes out. Which is possible, I suppose. But I think that the hot dogs that Sam Losko had for lunch just are going to come right up real fast fighting Sam Bennett. And I don't think Losko has a chance in hell against a Sam Bennett, unfortunately. As much as I would love to see that. But again, that AI video game, you could do it. Sam Losko versus Sam Bennett in a trailer park, refereed by Ricky LaFleur. So obviously he's going to be biased against Sam Losko, so it would be extra funny. Yeah, homemade hot dogs, the good kind, sure. But still, they're hot dogs, man, through and through. Also, homemade hot dogs sound gross, by the way. I don't understand how that's even possible because they're made with like meat goop. But anyway, I guess maybe we can Google that, and Thursday we can circle back and learn how to make homemade hot dogs, okay? Anyway, I'm dehydrated and I'm tired, so I'm going to sign off for tonight. Thank you very much for joining me. That was a lot of fun doing the Central Scouting blind. I did do it blind. I was not spoiled on any of it. That was pretty tremendous, and it's always a fun job. It's always fun watching those things come in and tracking them as they come in. So thanks very much for coming. This was a lot of fun. We'll see you on Thursday afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern time. We will have AJ here, I believe, for that as well. If you are interested, you can also go to scouching.ca, get yourself a subscription where you will have access to all kinds of fun data tools, access to our Discord server. We do office hours in there where we go through some tape together and look at some players, analyze them, do the whole fair use critique thing, together. It's always a lot of fun. And what else is going on that site? There's all kinds of new data tools that have been updated, data trackers for prospects this year's draft, as well as ones that have been drafted. A lot of fun tonight. So thanks for joining me and humoring me this evening. Plenty to chew on, lots of players to go and look after tonight, and we'll see you on the next one. All right. See you Thursday. Bye.